Hi, Dan. How are you?
I'm doing well, Eduardo. It's so nice to see you.
Yeah, so nice to see you as well. I'm Eduardo Diaz from Enjoy Languages. I'm at the branch that's in 𝘸𝘢𝘀𝗍𝗄, Chiapas in Mexico. And we have offices all over the country and in Colombia. And today we have the great opportunity to talk to Diane Riley. She comes to us from Whistler Adventure School, which is a very attractive destination for us to study and work, which is actually why we're doing this interview in English today. Because we want to talk to those interested that are capable of holding an English conversation, and they can expect to talk like this with people that during their studies, and also in the workplace when they get their work placement over there in Canada. Yes. So, hi Diane, can you tell us a little bit about Whistler? What makes it so exciting as a destination to work at and to study at?
Absolutely. And you might have to cut me off because there are so many things I would love to share about this beloved place that I'm very lucky to call my home. And Whistler, of course, is in Canada. We happen to be on the very far west coast region of the country of Canada. The climate here tends to be very moderate. So we have all four seasons here: summer, winter, spring, and fall. And in Whistler, we actually have distinct all four seasons, which is really very beautiful. Whistler itself, I had asked if anybody has been here before, because it is very well known around the world. The town itself is only 10,000, 11,000 people, but we welcome over 3 million visitors from all over the world to Whistler in the year. We are rated one of North America's top 5 ski and snowboard destinations, but we are the world's #1 mountain biking destination. So it's a privilege to live here. It's a very laid back lifestyle. It's a lifestyle where we're immersed in nature. In fact, I'm in the school right now, but I live about 10 minutes away, and I walked here before the meeting. So I got to enjoy some beautiful spring weather that we're having today.
Yeah, and I'm guessing it's pretty sunny right now. It feels like it's not winter at all.
It's not winter at all. Right now, the temperature is about 24 degrees. My son got a sunburn yesterday. He was out biking and got a sunburn. And it's just come to us. So the sun has arrived quickly, strong, fast, beautifully, cheerfully. The birds are happy. The bears are out. I saw a bear last night when I was driving to the grocery store. It's, yes, sunny and beautiful right now.
And how large of a city is Whistler?
Well, we're not a city, actually. We're a town.
Okay.
And the permanent year-round population, families like myself and my family, my colleagues here, it's only 10,000 people. And but as I mentioned, we're a top destination for travelers in the world. On any given day in a busy season, of course, not right now. We only have about 10,000 people here right now, but during our usual visitor time, we might have 55,000 people in one day. So we have lots of hotels here, but the town itself is a small town, and it feels very friendly. And even if you come for a week on holiday, if you see somebody in the lineup at the gondola to go skiing, I promise you, you're going to see them before you leave after 7 days. It's a small town.
Okay, and that's what's interesting, right? Because it's a destination where you can work, and you might think that a town of that size doesn't have that many opportunities, but it's a totally different thing, isn't it?
100%. It will not be difficult to find employment here for our study and work program. Our school does offer study and work. And so for those people who are wanting to learn or practice their language, you will be completely immersed. People come from all over the world, but the business language is English. And yes, work is an absolute opportunity. In usual times, we always say to our students, don't accept the first job offer that you receive, because if you go to the businesses that are in the heart of our village, the heart of the business area, you will, if you visit a number of businesses looking for a job, you're going to get a job offer from every one of them. So we say to our students, please reflect on the things that are important for you for this experience living and working and studying in Whistler before you jump into a commitment for work. Yes.
That's great. And can you tell us a little bit more about the programs you offer?
Absolutely. I'll repeat it. We're study and work programs, which are recognized by the Canadian government. And that means that international students must apply for a study permit. If you are approved for a study permit, they always come with work allowances for international students. And our programs, we have two categories. We have what we call our adventure sport categories, and those are 6-month duration programs. And we have our lifestyle programs, which are our 1-year programs. And the adventure sport programs are exactly that. You are learning to be out in tourism, you are learning to be a guide, to work in the sport that you love. Perhaps it's mountain biking, perhaps it's skiing or snowboarding, perhaps it's activity oriented for visitors. And our programs are training and supporting students in that learning experience. The 1-year programs, which of course, for students coming from Mexico, it's a long way to come and they want a big experience. So the most popular programs we have are our 1-year programs for our Mexican students. And there are 2 of them. One is called Marketing and Media Manager, and the other is called Mountain Sport Technician. And the Marketing and Media Manager program has a focus on photography, videography, digital marketing, event planning, etc. Our Mountain Sport Technician program has a focus on how you can be a technician in all the mountain sports of mountain biking, hiking, skiing, snowboarding, etc. And they're 6 months because they are typically tied to a season. And we have 4-month seasons of firm winter and 4 months firm summer, and so the study period is 6 months following the seasons.
Okay, that's perfect. And a very important point about your programs is that they're available year-round, right?
Correct. We have entry dates, start dates for our 1-year program that you can come and start studying with us in any month. So I'm going to cross my fingers so I remember to speak specifically about our start dates as they relate to coronavirus, COVID-19 operating guidelines. But in general, standard times, students can come in any month and they can start a program, and that actually speaks to our course scheduling. Students don't study many courses at once. They do a deep dive into one subject matter, and from the beginning of a month to the end of the month, they study the one subject, and that is why students can come different months of the year. Yes. Okay, so
depending on when they show up, it'll be what series of subjects they take.
Exactly.
The order. Okay.
Yes, this is it. And in our 1-year programs, those courses are offered 1 or 2 times per year. So in the 1-year duration, no matter when they come, they will have the opportunity to take all of their required courses. Yes.
Oh, that's perfect. And can you talk to us? Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
Did you have? I was going to ask you a little bit about the entry requirements for our Mexican students.
I'll cross my other fingers. May I speak about our expected startup dates?
Oh, yeah, sure.
In relation to what's happening right now?
Yeah, go ahead.
We are planning for our 1-year programs to resume in September. So right now, our health authorities, of course, classes are not happening right now, but our health authorities are indicating that we can begin offering our courses again, hopefully, in June, and if not in June, in July. So our summer programs with the current enrolled students, we will be able to offer the courses to the current enrolled students, and for future enrolled students, all indication from our public health authorities and from our governments are that we we will be able to begin our one-year programs for new students, new international students, possibly in September. And the good news is the Canadian government very much honors and respects the commitment that international students make to study in Canada. And these people have been designated by the Canadian government as essential travelers. So when the processes are opened up again, they will be among the first people who will be able to come into the country following all the guidelines of isolation and things. But this is good news for schools that have international students in Canada. Yeah,
that's great. So it's one advantage of the current crisis.
Yes, exactly. And you asked about
entry requirements,
and admission requirements. First and foremost, I want to speak about the English level requirement. Sure. We are a learn by doing school. We are a practical skills training school, and we're a private training institute. That means that students come and we expect them to be immersed in the experience, and they are learning by doing. So it's not an academic English requirement. Our English requirement is equivalent to IELTS 4, 4.5 for reading, writing, and conversation.
Okay.
And there's, if anybody is curious, we have a free online test on our website that they could just do a quick 5 to 10 minutes assessment on where they're at in that level. The other admission requirements are, we are a post-secondary training institute, so our students must be over 18. It's adults only here. And then beyond the English requirement and the age requirement, if the students coming through Enjoy Languages are coming to one of our adventure sport programs, depending on the program, they must have some introduction to the sport. So for instance, our 6-month mountain bike guide training program, they cannot be a beginner in a mountain bike. They must be a very experienced mountain bike enthusiast. And again, tying into the Whistler as a location, if you're a mountain biker, you already know about Whistler. So that's an easy one to meet the admission requirement.
Exactly.
Did I cover everything there, Eduardo? Those are the...
Yeah. I just had a question. How do you assess the students' English level? Do they take an online test? Do they have an online interview with you?
Yes,
because they don't need an official exam, right?
Yes, that's correct. So to answer the 2 points, yes, we do require written proof. So if they we'll accept any accepted English level test that they may have had in recent times, within a year or 2 years. If they've studied abroad or taken the test for other reasons, we'll accept the results. Or we do have that free online test, so they can take that and we would accept that as the written confirmation. But to your second point, yes, our admission steps, once our very valued partner at Enjoy Languages encourages their student to be in touch with us, I am the designated staff person. I'm the designated admissions advisor for Enjoy Languages students. So they would meet with me. It's a casual, informal. There are no right or wrong answers. It's to assess the conversation and to get an understanding that the student would be safe at our school. We're not saying how much do they know or how much schooling have they had. It's really to understand how would they operate and function in an environment where maybe the instructor and 6 or 8 other students are talking about a concept, and maybe they're in the field on a photography shoot and the instructor says, stop, because there's some reason a mountain biker is coming down the trail.
Okay, so for safety.
So it's safety. So it's a really informal assessment, but we must do a video meeting for conversation. Yes.
And that's an important point because you don't need to have an advanced level of English to work or to study in one of your programs, right? As long as you're a B1, beginning intermediate?
Absolutely. That's 100% correct. And that's for the studying piece here at school. The working piece in Whistler, it's actually an advantage if you are a non-English speaker. Because we welcome the world, employers are looking for people that can provide top customer service to those key visitors. So
in their native language, I would guess.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's an employee's advantage. And for the 1-year programs, we have a requirement where the student is doing a co-op work experience. That's a required course. And again, the English level doesn't have to be greater than what our admission requirement is. And we make sure that the student is placed in a situation that is going to help them achieve their personal goals, but also sets them up for success. We're not going to put them in an environment where they are perhaps giving historical tours on Whistler history to English-only guests.
Exactly. Yeah, it's all curtailed to the student or to their abilities. Or
May I give a good example story? My heart bursts. So during coronavirus, many of our students financially had to go home. They were working for the largest employer here, which is Whistler Blackcomb, the ski resort / mountain bike resort. But many of our students were also working at local grocery stores or essential service businesses in town. And my heart bursts because I just saw Roberto, who's a Spanish-speaking man. And when he came in November, he came for our ski and snowboard guide training program. Now, Roberto is from Andorra, Spain, but he's very quickly connected himself with our Mexican students here at school in November, because he had a very practical, functional level of English, but he wasn't comfortable with the subtleties of language, so it was very transactional. Quickly, he got a job at a grocery store. Quickly, he started studying. Quickly, he's got his roommates. 3 are Australian, only 1 other is Spanish-speaking, so he was forced to speak English. I just saw Roberto this afternoon when I picked up my groceries for dinner, and Roberto's like totally cool, using all the local expressions about mountain biking.
And even the accent and everything,
everything. And I could just see, I saw him about 2 months ago, but I could see his shoulders were relaxed. He was very confident. He was telling me that he had just bought his new mountain bike, but he was shopping for a new bike helmet. He'd never ridden a mountain bike before. This is the other beautiful thing about living in Whistler. Because nature is so close, and because everyone does activities in nature. His roommates were introducing him to mountain biking. He's just starting out. It's a new sport. He tends to be athletic anyway, but mostly he just loves nature. And so he was open to this idea. And so my conversation with him this afternoon was about his new mountain bike. The old lady with lots of gray hair, was telling him about some trails that I recommend he should go on that I know are good for beginners. And his English is incredible right now, just from living, working, and studying in 5 short months.
Yeah, and that's actually an advantage of this program, because you don't only get to work abroad, you don't only get to study something like mountain biking or digital media or something like that. You also get to improve your English while you're living over there, which is it's an important advantage.
It is a very important advantage. And actually, I think that's one thing that Whistler Adventure School, if I might speak about the demographics of our student body right now, because it might be important. Yes, students, if the 50% goal of a student that comes to us through Enjoy Languages is to improve their vocabulary and ease of speaking in English level. If that is one of their top goals, that's going to happen here, because even though Whistler is a renowned destination and millions of people come every year, and many of them are Spanish speaking, you will find that comfort in being able to practice when you are maybe a little bit homesick and it's a new environment and you are craving just being able to speak your language. You're going to have the opportunity to do that. But at Whistler Adventure School, you're going to be forced to function in English in a safe, protected, understanding way. Everybody who lives here understands we're all strangers. Nobody grew up here. Well, my sons were born and are growing up here, but it's a new thing because Whistler is only 50 years old. There was no town here before 50 years ago. So there's an openness of people's heart to support someone who is a new English speaker or newer English speaker. And an appreciation that just because you don't speak English doesn't mean you don't have a lot to offer to the school environment, to the experience, to your housemates, to your job. So that openness and that patience and understanding is great. The demographics at our school, 50% of our students are Canadian, 50% of our students are international. Typically, our students come from regions where they grow up being exposed to nature and playing in the countryside, maybe with their family on holidays, going on ski holidays to the United States or in their own country. Or maybe it's, the Pyrenees in Spain or Patagonia in Argentina and Chile. Of course, mountain biking or biking in Colombia and Mexico is so popular. We have a lot of students from Monterrey. Of course, they grow up in the beautiful mountains of northern Mexico. So but that 50% being Canadian, 50% being people from all over the world, you cannot get stuck in your little group of 5 or 7 students in a classroom.
In your bubble, yeah.
You must interact with our, in fact, our faculty. Many of them speak many languages. Some of them are French, Canadian, first language speakers. So you are forced to practice here. Unlike other schools, universities I went to, schools my son is going to, where the classroom has 50, 100, 200 people, and you notice the Germans are all together, and the Brazilians are all together, and the Spanish speaking are all together. So, yes.
So that's going to make it a lot more intimate, and people get to know each other a lot better. It's more of a small town feel. It feels like a very safe place.
Absolutely.
It's very calm.
And it is a small town, really. My joke at the beginning about the, even if you're only here for 7 days, you'll start to see the same people if you do the same activities. Something that's really important to know is, for people considering our school to know is, the average age of our students is 22 to 32.
Okay.
People who in their home country, before they've decided to experience time abroad, maybe they have already been working for a few years. Maybe they have already got their college or university education. It's a little bit of maturity there. So people are open, their hearts are open to the experience. Their minds are mature and ready to talk to strangers because you recognize you're a stranger going through a similar shared experience in the first day of class. And I think that that is something that our people who are considering our school need to hear time and time again. You're only a stranger until the moment you say your name and introduce yourself. And then you're a local and you're doing something that everybody is doing here. So I think it's important to stress that. Another personal experience I have is I said I saw Roberto working at the grocery store today. Another experience I have is going to work out at my local gym, and the fitness ladies my age, we do our active Zumba classes, and meanwhile I'm the guys and girls that are weight training and making sure their knees are strong for skiing. They're coming in to do their training right after my fitness class finishes, and I'm like, hey Manuel, hey Raul, hey Nico, like it's all my students.
Oh, really?
So we become very familiar and friendly as residents of the same town. And at the beginning, I think it's really important our students know that before they even come here, when they meet with me for our informal language assessment, it's the opportunity for them to ask questions about living here, about what it's like. That's the beginning of our relationship together. And we're a small staff and admin team here. We are 5 people here. We have 15 faculty, but 5 staff people. That first conversation begins the relationship. we become the network that the person meeting with me is starting to build before they've even arrived. And usually it takes students the first 4 weeks, 5 weeks, before they are very comfortable with how it all works, how the transit system works, where they have to park their car, what their house is like, what their roommates is like, what their job is like, what their teacher is like. And in those first 5 weeks, we have an open door policy here in this room right here where I'm sitting. Students can come anytime, just, text, say, hey, are you at the school? I'll take them for coffee. We talk about stuff. We clarify problems. We continue that in-person network and community that they've given up in their home city of Tuxtla or Mexico City or wherever they are coming from in your region and or your country. And then after 4 or 5 weeks, we don't see them again for many months because they've figured it out. It's not difficult. But the thing we do really well here is our student support, and I'm very proud of it. And actually, it's one of the reasons I work here. I'm very invested in people's experience and growth as a human being. And I think we can't do that without support. And it's particularly important when everyone is in a new situation that they know there's people who are in it to support them.
And that's an advantage of a school your size where everybody gets to know each other, where they know you before they travel, etc. That's very nice. We talked a little while ago about you showing us a little bit of the school.
Yes.
Could you give us a quick tour of the,
yes,
especially where you have the Wi-Fi connection available?
I know. Please call out to me if we start to lose each other or freeze.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
Yes, not only is our team small, but our physical space is small. But this is, we always say Whistler is the classroom. Our classes actually meet and have opportunity here in this physical space. But every course we offer you're out in the field. You are doing things in the beautiful natural environment. Even if it's event planning or market strategy, a more academic kind of course, they're still outdoor.
And it's for the kind of student that wants to be outside and they don't want to be in a classroom all day long.
Exactly.
They want to get a little sun, a little rain, a little snow.
You've got it. Okay, so there's 2 classrooms in our physical space here at our little campus. I'm sitting in the 15-station Mac Lab class that's typical for our marketing and media manager students. So this is our Mac Lab. Oh, did I see you?
Okay. No, you're there. Go ahead. We can see it all clearly.
So, so we have 15 stations. Right now, I want to say clearly, these stations are not set up for our social distancing. On Monday, we begin creating a different way, and there'll be more traditional rows 2 meters apart, so the individual stations. Like right now, the collab table in the center, well, that won't exist, but they'll go outside and do their collab. Now, I'm going to carefully walk down the stairs. This is our workshop classroom. So there's workstations and bikes, and it's where we do our bicycle mechanic, ski tuner, ski and snowboard production. This is where the students for sustainable trail building will meet and gather their tools. That's in the mountain biking genre. That big machine right there is a ski and snowboard press. So the students build them from scratch and then press them here with their own artwork. This is where we have bicycle rims hanging so that when the bike mechanic class comes, they can do some truing on the, here's an example of a workstation for our bicycle mechanic. And we're hoping that we will get the go-ahead to offer that again in June, if we can go. And of course, we have our current enrolled students who will participate in that. Okay, these are some bike stations. Oh, my beautiful shop bike is here that we ride and go get coffee. Can you see it has a coffee cup holder? No, maybe not. anyway, more workstations. So this is our classroom downstairs. And I would take you outside. Do we still have the signal? Maybe I should take you outside.
Yeah, I've still got it till right now. It hasn't broken up yet. Do you want just a quick look, just to see if we can get the view?
So there's the forest right there. It's not the prettiest view. And we are across from another building, but our mountains, can you see our mountains? Did I lose you, Eduardo?
No, you haven't lost me yet, but we can see the mountains. It's also green now. It doesn't look like winter at all.
No, not at all. Not at all. It is summer, and we may have a little bit of rain, I hear, at the end of the month, but that's good because our trees grow big here because we have lots of rain. And we have lots of lakes for swimming in the summer. Oh, it's just perfect.
That's perfect. No, that's quite a nice view that your students have every day.
Yes. Okay, I think I might lose you in the sunshine, but to show you the view out this window is also the forest.
Yeah, we can kind of see the trees right now. Yeah.
I was talking about the new little green leaves that are coming out this week. It's beautiful. Right now, I think it's 24 degrees here, so.
Yeah, it's more or less the same weather that we've got here in Tuxtla. It's not that different right now.
Did you have any questions, Eduardo, or do any of the?
Yeah, sure. Well, I was going to ask you that. If we can go ahead to the questions here. Let's see what. Well, Emilia Sanchez asks us which are the requirements, which we already talked a little bit about, right?
Yes, but I can. They're super easy. I can go over.
Yeah, go ahead.
3 main requirements. Of course, students must be over 18. We're a post-secondary school, so you have to be an adult. We have an English level requirement of B1, IELTS equivalent 4.5. Obviously, you could provide Emilia more information, but our website has that information as well. And the third is if she is interested in one of our adventure sport programs, there is the likelihood she would have to have some skill in the sport. One of the things I want to say, though, for people who are interested to come in winter, we have a phenomenal new program. It'll be the premier launch of it this winter. So you don't have to be an expert skier or snowboarder to take it. It's called Adventure Tourism Winter. And you get introduced to the backcountry in the winter. So you would do some snowshoeing or some basic activity like that. You would learn to be a guide and have some experiential leadership opportunities. You could also take the principles of digital marketing and social media, because maybe you're a person who wants to work as for a small activity company, and that would be a helpful course as well. And there's some others, but anyway, for people, I wanted to raise the idea of considering Adventure Tourism Winter, which is one of our programs, because you do not have to be an expert skier or snowboarder to participate in that. But it still gives you the full Canadian beautiful winter experience. And it's so exciting. It's having a launch this November, and it's 6-month duration. So if someone can only come away from their commitments at home in Mexico for 6 months, it's a great way to experience Whistler and Canada and a West Coast winter in that program at our school. Yeah. That's
perfect. And we've got another question from Enrique Toledo. It's actually kind of related to what you talked about. He's asking if I don't have much knowledge in ski sports, can I apply for a certification? I'm guessing you offer certifications as well?
We do not do certification to be a guide. That's an entire professional designation that is offered through the Association of Mountain Guides. We are a school that trains people in those disciplines, helps them build the skills in order to pursue a professional designation. I can give the example, if you are an engineer and you take your engineering course, then you have to do professional designation to work as an engineer in that field. So we are the study piece for the adventure sport. We are not the certifying piece. But it does raise a good point, which is, what are the credentials at Whistler Adventure School?
Exactly. Yeah.
So we're a post-secondary school recognized by our province and by our federal government. So you would receive a diploma for completing our programs and graduating. Within the training we offer, there is some industry certification. For example, in the principles of digital marketing and social media, a person would complete that course, and it's a requirement of their program diploma, but they also receive Hootsuite, recognized professional credentials out in the workforce that they could put to work right away.
No, exactly. And that's a great advantage in the case of that digital program, because they can apply it in Mexico. They don't need to do some mountain sports thing in Mexico or some skiing thing in Mexico. They can apply it at any company, right?
Exactly. That's it. Very good point. Yes. Did I cover, Eduardo, do you think I covered Enrique's question?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's more than perfect. Yeah. And something else, well, we have no other questions for the moment, but something else I wanted to ask you is, what's the profile of your typical, because we talked about students in general, but what is your typical Mexican student like? Is it somebody that's, like you talked before, looking for a newer experience, who wants to take a break from work in Mexico?
Yes.
Who wants to go abroad and travel a little bit before they go back home and have a family, for example?
So
what's the profile of your typical
Facebook
Mexican?
world, don't tell anybody, but the Mexican students are my favorite. No, I love all my students. But my beloved students from Mexico, typically they are in the age group 22 to 28. That is the general. We do have other ages that come, but that's the average. It's 50% men and women. So that's very exciting for our school. When we are, sometimes people think because we do adventure sport, it might be more men or more women, but it's not. 50% men and women. The exciting thing is, typically, the student coming from Mexico already has some work experience and has education, post-secondary education, and they might already be graduates in a marketing program in Mexico and have their college degree or have their university degree. But they are coming here, they are learning in the field, learning a new vocabulary in English that applies to their industry. They are very passionate and excited about life. They are looking for an experience close to nature. They are the type of person who is ready to learn new skills and apply them right away. And that might be sports skills. That simply might be work skills at a new workplace that they never thought that they would ever work in before. It's a person who maybe right now they are meeting their commitments and living a very urban life, but at some point, our students from Mexico, they've either traveled to Whistler with their family or to Canada. They have some exposure, maybe traveling to different regions in Mexico to do activities that they maybe enjoyed when they were younger, but have not had time to do recently. And they are people who are I mentioned some. Our school has been operating for 6 years, and at the moment, the majority of our alumni who come from Mexico have come from Mexico City. So we know cities like Tuxtla and like Monterrey would be perfect home residence for potential Whistler Adventure School students, but the word is just getting out. It seemed to have hit Mexico City first, but we're hoping to expand that. And I have already, I think of 2 of my students, my graduates, who are back home working and living in Mexico City, Maria and Andrea. Oh my gosh, they're like, they will be friends of mine for life. Through our student socials, through different activities that they participated in that were outside of the school. through people that we began, like my friends, Andrea ended up working for. And of course, then I would see her at her work. And Maria helped us set up some testimonials as well. So projects that we did together outside of school, it really created a bond. Yeah.
That's nice. Well, I think that's about it. Let me check just if we've got any more questions before we close. Let me see. I've got a question from Lionel. He's asking us, what is the minimum salary per hour in Whistler for part-time work?
That's an excellent question. And it's I don't know off the top of my head what the conversion is, Mexican dollars to Canadian dollars. So please know I'm going to speak in Canadian dollars, and you might have he might have to do his own research on that. But the average hourly wage is a tourism industry average hourly wage, which is between $16 to $20 per hour. But tips might be something that a person has the opportunity to earn if they are working in tourism as well. It's very common that the businesses will offer job benefits like subsidized housing or free meals or passes to be in the mountain bike park or on Whistler Blackcomb skiing and snowboarding. So there are job benefits that are not associated with the hourly wage that actually have a benefit to the student that would be something they don't have to pay for while they're living here. But I can't tell you what that would equate to in an hourly wage. But please know that it's not uncommon that students will have 1 or 1.5 jobs, different businesses. And the exciting thing is, though, it should be looked at, if you are a student who needs to be working while you are studying and you get a job, you've instantly got a group of friends that you didn't know you have because you have to be working with these people. And it's a shared experience that offers a value that goes beyond money. Maybe it's your new group that you get to go hiking with, or paddle boarding with, or biking with, or travel to Vancouver with. So there's lots of benefits. Our local government, our municipal government, has information on exactly what the cost of groceries is, rent is, what wages are. And that is information that I always share in my admissions meeting with students. So they get a real clear expectation about what it costs to live here.
Okay, so students can expect to having a part-time job be able to pay a pretty good part of their expenses, right?
Yes, exactly. They must be able to prove to the Canadian government they can afford to be here before they even come as part of their study permit application. But yes, they can expect that that they will be able to meet their monthly expenses through a job or two. I would also, like, setting expectations, I would also like to offer here that it should be, because many people from around the world want to live here, it's actually the cost of shelter for the rent of your apartment, that in comparison to other towns our size is very expensive. It's like living in downtown Vancouver or living in downtown Toronto. People wouldn't expect it, but it is very expensive to live here for the housing piece of it. And it's a realistic expectation they should have to have roommates. So a common example is my student Maria, my graduate Maria, who's back in, oh my gosh, I love her so much. She's back in Mexico City. She rented a room with a young couple, a Canadian couple who owned their own apartment, 2-bedroom apartment, and she was their roommate. She had her own bedroom, living with another couple in an apartment that was close to her work, close to bus, offered many, many things, but it was not possible for her to afford to live on her own in her own apartment. And I want your students, our shared students, Eduardo, to have that expectation. Hey, maybe they will find the perfect place where they live on their own, but it's not the usual experience.
Not that easy, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And we've got one, I think we're going to close with this last question because of the time limit. But one last question we have is there an age limit for your programs? Is there a maximum age, or it's open just to the minimum age of 18?
It's open the minimum age of 18. There is no age cap. And in fact, there were 2 men this winter that did one of our programs, age 52, 2 men from Brazil. And they came together and did the program together. Of course, they took a sabbatical from their work. They're executives in a company, and they took time off and came to Whistler for a period of time with their families. We've had students take our bike mechanic course who are retired, so over 65. All ages are welcome. Eduardo?
Perfect. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for the moment.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Diane, for joining us. Is there anything else you'd like to mention?
Yes. I would like to mention how honored Whistler Adventure School is to work with you personally and to work with Enjoy Languages. The support that you give your students, we try our best to also do. We are very honored by the work relationship. We're very privileged, and I can't tell your students enough how lucky they are to work with you and your company.
Thanks so much, Diane. So everybody, you heard about it. We've got this great adventure you can have at Whistler Adventure School. Even the name of the school says where you can expect from this experience.
Yes.
You can go study abroad, get work experience, live in a beautiful town like Whistler, get to know people from all over the world, but these people will become your family in a way. And you can contact your local Enjoy Languages office. We've got offices all over Mexico. We also have an office in Colombia. So all of our Mexican and Colombian potential students can ask us about Whistler Adventure School, and we'll be more than glad to refer you to Whistler, to Diane, and start the admissions process once you've decided on what program you'd like. So thanks, Diane, again for joining us today. We really appreciate it, and we hope to see you very soon.
Yes, I hope so too. I look forward to welcoming your students. Thank you, Eduardo. Thank you.
Thanks, Diane. Take care.
Bye.
Have a great day. Bye.